Okay.
Oh, I'm born ready. You know that.
That's my Indian name.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya
Okay.
hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ha hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya ha ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too Kashi Dagush Kashka Yogi Piano yo yo Wata baby Wagi Babi Ihachi ya Bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too Gashi Dagush Kashka Yogi Piano yo yo Wata Pebi Hagik Tabi Ihachi ya Bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too Gashi Dagush Kashka Yogi Piano yo yo Wata Pebi Hagik Tabi Ihachi ya Bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too Gashi Dagush Kashka Yogi Piano yo yo Wata Pebi Hagik Tabi Ihachi ya Bino hey yo
How me daku Oh, how me daku okay.
Oh,
Dayan wa chia kapido. Me daku Awana wa chinja wa kapa won't spend one country ya. Dechia Dayan ya hipido me daku Okay, Elijah Hopkins demie. Relatives, again, thank you for joining us with the Buffalo Chasers podcast. We're at week number 41, I believe. It is July 15th, 2021. We're streaming at you live from Fort Peck Community College. Thank you again, relatives, for joining us. Again, I'm Elijah Hopkins, joined by the trio of all-stars. Actually, Earl Bullhead and Tommy Christian are both in the house. We can visually see Dexy Tommy always looking cho and his golfer attire looking good, man. Good to see you here, Dexy. And then we have our traveling Dexy. Earl Bullhead is going probably to a powwow someplace. Maybe bingo. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's joining us on the phone. We can't see him, but he's here with us. So we want to thank you guys for joining us today. And so before we get started with our discussion here, I would ask Dexy if you would share a prayer with us, Dexy. Tommy Christian, if you would help us out, please.
Me taku epi daya ya hipi tatanka koapi omnitia hecha na ushia ke ne taku epi na tushka mitana che mitana chanku ashte iwa atukashila na wakantanka ushima lomakia na wachekia chante washte ambetukile atukashila na wakantanka mitaki epi wanage makpe aktaya ge tatea ya toba unchi makana makaina Ushia ke hocho ka ekta hiopo, ushia ke mitaki epi wanahi na okia chawo giksi apo tiwahe tawa tiushpe tawa o ichaki apo ushu ichalapo. Atu kashila na wakantanka oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani o ichaki apo ushu ichalapo. Giksi apo mitaki epi agichita oyate kizuya ekta wichasha bile wia bile na chanku washte upi okiabo. Atukashila na wakantanka giksi apo mitaki epi won spekia hemitawa winukcha lapi wichaksa lapi na wakaya japia ukshilapi winchincha lapi na kuskapi wikoskapi wichozani upi okia wo ushi wichalapo. Atukashila na wakantanka na okia chana mitaki epi na wayawa oyateki na wana agli campus hecha na haushia ke nasu washake unkubi okia wa ushu chalabo. All my grandfathers, as we come to you on this beautiful day, we're going to ask you again for many blessings as we try to understand the importance of our purpose and our dedication in life. And as we continue to walk this red road of understanding, we're thankful and grateful that you could afford us an opportunity to come together like this on days such as this and understanding the importance of representing not only ourselves, but our families, our tribes, and our communities, and in a good way. And as we continue to strive for that strength that you provide for us through the development of our character, we're going to ask that you continue to strengthen our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and our spirits as we prepare ourselves to someday soon go and make that transition to this other dimension that we refer to as heaven or makpeak. And we're going to ask you in a good way as we prepare for these things that you continue to help us understand our purpose and our dedication so that we can share them with others. We ask that you watch over all of those. We're going to ask you that you watch over those healers, those men and those women that afford us an opportunity to understand the importance of our healthy mindedness, our healthy hearts, our healthy spirits in a good way, to guide us in a direction that's going to help us make good choices as we try to live this life as well as we know how. And so as we do these things, we're grateful and thankful for all of these good things. So this opportunity that you provided for us through this podcast, we're grateful and thankful for, and we ask that you continue to watch over all of those that protect that. How mitakia oasi, mama kashka oasi.
Pidama. Beautiful prayer once again. Relatives, just very quickly, here some announcements. So we try to promote our podcast every week by doing some drawings for different items. We still have some jackets. We still have some Kindle Fires. So the way that you're able to get your name in the hat and be able to win one of those items is you smash the like button on our video feed. You smash it, show us some love, give us a like, a share, comment, and then before the next podcast, we'll identify those winners and we'll make the announcement. So we're at week 41. So for week 40, the winners for the jacket is Josh Aisi-chan or Asiki-kan. Pity me, relative, if I butchered your last name, but winner, chicken dinner, Josh, congratulations. We also have a Kindle Fire up for grabs, and the winner of that is Gene Nahomini Mani. Winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations to Josh and Gene. You're able to retrieve those items at the Student Services at the War Eagle Vision Building. If you're unable to physically go there, if you're on vacation like Dexy Earl, or if you're travel wherever you're at, if you're not locally here in Poplar, just give us a call. You can lean on us, and we'll send you those items wherever you're at. So call 406-768-6370. Just give them your name and your size and your mailing address, and we'll hook you up. So relatives, so for those of you that are joining us, you know the routine, but if you're brand new to our podcast, again, just as a reminder, we do try to get the message out as far as mental health from a cultural perspective. And so between the trio of us here, we try to utilize this new platform, and we're getting a lot of momentum. And so we have a couple of our elders here that can share some personal experience and help us have a good, healthy discussion for about an hour here. And then looking forward to next week for any of the students that are on the call with us, or anybody that's watching out in Facebook world, we are doing a live presentation for the American Indian College Fund to have a broader, showcase of what the podcast is all about, the Buffalo Chasers Society that actually was praying for here earlier. So you guys are all a part of this. I just wanted to share some podcast news for all of y'all. So join us if you can, but thank you again for joining us. So Dexy, whatever you want to cover today, we would appreciate it.
Again, that podcast is going to be Wednesday at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I believe it. Something like that anyway, but that's going to be on Facebook Live, and it goes along with some kind of a youth gathering that they're having. And so the Buffalo Chasers podcast individuals, Chie, Earl, Bullhead, Nietzsche, Ole, Toshka, Elijah, and myself will be participating in that, and we'll be discussing basic things like we do here, but just to help them understand the importance of applying ourselves in a different manner for the sake of teaching and all that good stuff, or in this case, just sharing, and that's key, that's prime. And so as we do these things, we understand the importance of our individuality, and you can even refer to that as our uniqueness, as we represent not only ourselves, but our family, our tribe, and our communities, or whatever the case may be. And in that, the Tatanka Koapi Oyateki, that's what we refer to ourselves, or the Watampebi. You know, they called them the Buffalo Chasers. The Assiniboines called the Buffalo Chasers Watampebi. Us guys, we Tatanka Koapi Oyateki, the Buffalo Chasers people, tribe, or whatever you want to call that, define that as. But this is what we do. This is how we do it. Am I still on the air, Toshka? Can you hear me? Okay, good. I lost you somewhere. But anyway, there you are on this side. I was looking at the other one. But you can see that all of our weeks have been applied, and you can go on YouTube and you can get all those. Just look up Buffalo Chasers podcast, and that'll come up. And all the weeks will come up along there, and you can listen to as many as you like to, or whatnot. But in that, we don't tell anybody anything. We share. We're sharing, and again, Chie Neche Ola is always helping us out and providing us with direction and understanding as it relates to a lot as in respects to the language, the interpretation, and of course we have discussions. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree, but we agree to disagree. But that represents that diversity that exists out there, even amongst our tribes, our perspectives. And we always have the respect of oneself and of others to always acknowledge that diversity that's represented, whatever the case may be. And so that's what we're trying to share. We're trying to help people understand that, we want to remain apolitical and apersonal, and especially in a ceremonial wise. Like this weekend, we're having a kettle dance down here at Dylan's. That's his 4th year of sponsoring that kettle dance, and it's a healing dance. It's a medicine dance. So we don't bring our political agendas there. We don't bring our personal agendas there. We're not trying to prove anything, but we show up because we're wishing to participate and kind of support and encourage those that conduct ceremonies such as that. That's who we are. That's our way of dealing with certain issues. Some of the tolerations we had to deal with in the past, and a lot of them are coming to light. It's hard to remain apolitical in stances like that, but yet out of respect for what it is that their choices were at that time, during that time, we accept that reality and then we deal with it in our way. You see how that works? In our way. We own that because we have ceremonies that help us understand the importance of these unnatural acts of taking another life. Okay? Our veterans, our warriors, they do that. And what was shared with me by one of my older brothers, Boy Lad, he said the elders shared with him, he said, because Boy was going through some post-traumatic stress stuff, and he was dealing with this um, unnatural act of taking another life. And so what the elders shared with him, he said, you know, in the Creator's eyes, we're all the same. There's no difference. And so in a spiritual way, we're all the same. He said, so when you have to go and you following orders, or you're trying to be honorable man and dignified man, if you're in the service and military, you got to do certain things that may be against your nature, but you're following orders. He said, so in that, you're defending a way of life that represents a freedom that sometimes your people take advantage of, but yet at times like this, we definitely appreciate. Well, he said, in that defense of that freedom, you have to take another life. He said, they told him, don't feel bad. They said, all you do is you feed those spirits every year, because those spirits, if they're Vietnamese, Russian, German, whatever, they become your helpers. He said, in a spiritual sense. Oh, and to me, that made sense, eh? And so he said, the older people told Boy, they said, feed those spirits, whatever they like to eat, you feed them that. Whatever you figure their nationality was, you feed them that. And then when you're doing ceremony and you ask for help from your spirits, they're the ones that will come and help you in a spiritual way, eh? You see? And so that's how our warriors, our Gichita, the men and the women that maybe have been put in a position to where it's them or me. You had to take a life, and so that's how you deal with that life. You still can respect their human existence, but at the same time, you appreciate their spiritual abilities to help you in a spiritual way. So, you know, I share that in a good way to help our veterans and all of those people that may be dealing with this mystery of death, to help them understand we have our way of doing things. We have our way of contending with these, developing ability to tolerate a lot of these issues that some people, our non-Indian relatives, may find hard or harsh or whatever. But we have ways of dealing with it because we went beyond that fear of that fear of that mystery of death, and in respects to we're preparing for it. And that's what all this character development does. It helps you to prepare, to make sure that we can be ready for, and because we don't know when that mystery of death is going to show up, and so we prepare for it, and then we understand that when we're ready to go, we can go. Are we all right? Can you still hear me, Chia?
Oh, I think he got dropped on the call. He must have bad reception wherever he's at.
Oh, that's real. Okay. But you see what I'm saying? And so just to help us understand that the diversity that is represented through our podcast, it's kind of really, if you listen to it, it's really an Indian perspective, but we're not trying to make anybody Indian because we're sharing this. What we're trying to help us understand is that importance of that ideological paradigm shift. I like that.
Okay.
Based on that ability to kind of address the adaptation of an epistemology that may be needed at times like this. Hey, you kind of really sound good. But you see, And that's what we're wishing to implement. We're going to help people open their minds, expand their horizons, check out their peripherals, and let them know that the worldview that you have can be opened, especially when we can utilize tools such as this as it relates to some of our mental health issues, some of the concerns that we have, because everybody's worried about, well, how are the Indians dealing with this and dealing with that? How they deal with this discrimination and stuff? And then that becomes in a political arena that we choose really not to bring into a ceremonial place or a place in which we want to make people do things. We don't believe that. We don't believe we have dominion over anything. So what happens at times like this is you can apply some of this thought process to how we think and how we accept it, how we tolerated it, and yet we're still here because we're not wishing to control. We're not advocating we're the best or anything like that. We just kind of go with the flow and move with things to where if it's good for everybody, then it's good for us. But yet at the same time, we would also like you to reciprocate reciprocate that respect that we've shared with you. I got Earl on the phone here, Toshka. Oh, shit. Dagaya Chivo. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Bro, I can't hear you. Okay. Well, anyway, he's trying to call us back, but maybe call him back. See if we can get him now, Tushka. But anyway, as we're going, for those that are going to be listening to this, that's what we're wishing to do. We have ceremony. We have ways of addressing that mystery of death without being afraid of it. That's why I shared that story with you about Boy. And if you can keep Boy in mind too, he recently was up here. He come up to Joe Sam's funeral, and on the way home, he lives in Albuquerque. He kind of got in a vehicle accident and kind of broke up some ribs and stuff. So he's not a young man no more. He's not no spring chicken no more. So if you got a few extra prayers, kind of send him his way. He's a very honorable individual. For those of you that know,
Leave a message, and I'll return your call.
Oh, do I? But if you know him, send some prayers his way for healing and all that good stuff. Again, he just was remembering and honoring the life of our good relative from Brown and Joe Sam Scaburo. But it's stuff like that. See, that character development, it affords us an opportunity to really put in perspective our Ekchewi Chasha attitude, our Ekche Oyateki way of life, our common way of life. Not less, not more, just a common perspective, like in the Creator's eyes, we're all the same. And again, as we do these things, we tease sometimes, like I always say that, give me a hallelujah. I'm not mocking that. I'm just addressing the fact that I'm saying things with a certain amount of Wakanyapi hecha. No, if that makes sense. It's kind of like got some spiritual energy in there, eh? And that's what our non-Indian relatives say. Can I get a hallelujah? Well, that's when I speak like that. I just not mocking them, but that's what we've accepted as a way of addressing that sort of speech or that sort of talk, eh? And so I say that in a good way. Give me a hallelujah. So once we get beyond it and we strengthen ourselves, that's another thing I wanted to share this at this time is it's people that are not really strong in their how we say that. Wawochida. How do you say faith, Toshka? How do you say it? Wawochida or what?
I think so. I think that's how I've heard it. Wawachida.
Wawachida, yeah, kind of the faith. That means our faith or our belief system. Yeah, if you watch and observe, those that aren't really strong in their faith or their belief or they don't really believe, they have to talk about it all the time, eh? They got to prove it. They got to look, virtually signal how good they are. And when they do that, then the old people, like our old people, they just sit back and watch and they recognize the weakness in that individual's character. And then they like in our way, they got to always prove they're Indian by all these feathers and beads and this, that. They They can't just live it like us. That's what we do. We just live it, eh? We don't necessarily need to talk about it, but we just live it. And then when it comes to opportunities like this, we're sharing it. We're not telling you how to do the ceremony, but we're sharing you an option to help you understand the difference that exists there so that hopefully you can reciprocate that respect that we're asking for in a good way. And you'll know why you're reciprocating that respect because, oh, that's them. Yeah, the Henielo. Yeah, that's the way they do it, which is fine, eh? And so that's all we're asking for is a little bit of reciprocity as it relates to how we think and how we do things. And so in this opportunity through podcast and dealing with our mental health issues in a more common way, we're utilizing to help people, to help them understand the importance of that communication, but be able to understand, not necessarily know, but understand who and what we are so you can ask your own self why we are. Okay? And so as we do that, we continue to walk this red road. That's what we call it. Oyate oyate chakuluta azra omani. My relatives that walk this red road, we wish for them to make good tracks on it, not for their sake, but for the sake of those that are following them. Because philosophically, if you stop and you think about it, all the things that we do and we're taught to do and the way of life that we represent is always for others. It's not for ourselves. We don't bring attention to ourselves, eh? We do these things because we can. We're able to do them. We don't do them because we have to. So we're not dogmatic in that way, but yet at the same time, we have choices that we can make. We can sit back and just do nothing, or we can step up and participate in a good way. And that's how you remain apolitical based on your own choice, eh? But these are the opportunities through your character development that you start understanding comes from within. Ambe tukile michante atao agalake. Hey, on this day, I'm going to speak to you from my heart, and that's your heart, not my heart. See, I'm going to talk to you from my heart, and then with the intent that I'm sharing there is that when you speak, I hope that you speak to me from your heart. Hey, see, kind of like that. And so that represents a sincerity and a commitment to who and what we are, what you are and what I am as it relates to your respect that you're sharing with me. And so in our language, there's no sarcasm or facetiousness when we speak. What we say is what we mean is what we say, kind of a sort of a thing. And we start relating to that and say, oh, okay. Geez, I thought these were savages. I thought they were noble savages. They're dumb and they didn't understand. They're apathetic because they're so stoic. Hey, well, it's starting to make sense to you that stoicism is just it represents no fear, not stupidity, not apathy. It represents no fear, eh? Because of the preparations that we've made. So we sit there, don't make any faces or anything like that because, hey, it bothers you, but it doesn't bother me because I understand it. I don't know it, but I understand it. So I'm expressionless. And so it doesn't really affect me because I'm ready. And if I should die now, then I'm ready to go. Kind of like that. And if you can respect that, then again, it helps you to understand our positions as First Nations people from a spiritual perspective. It's kind of like that. Right about here, Toshka, I would say, give me a hallelujah. But even in that, I hate to say that. But even in that, it's people are so sensitive now, like counterculture or whatever that they're trying to kick everybody out and they're so sensitive. Well, Indians, we understood that about our non-Indian relatives, and they became so political that you can't even tease no more. Whereas for us as First Nations people, that's all we do is we tease. Hey, I had one nephew, he was out of Chicago. He come and lived with my other brother, Brent, out here for a month. His name was Hal. And he was pure D white kid, eh? He's Indian, but he grew up in a white society. And he come over and he stayed with us for a whole summer. Stayed out at Brent's. They pushed cows a little bit and whatnot, and he helped him feed his cows and all that farmer stuff. Eh? My brother has a ranch out here. Anyway, during that time, he'd come in the evenings. He'd come in and he'd visit with us in town, and we'd score on him, and he didn't know what that was. Eh? You're gonna what? Why do you want me to bend over? But it was we'd tease him like that, eh? And we'd score on him, and then finally he got it. We're teasing, and so he didn't get so mad anymore, and then he didn't get so personal, and he said you start realizing how to score back. So he did, but that was a part of the teasing, eh? Wait, no, hold on. Chia, can you hear me? Okay, I'll have Elijah call you back and get you back on. Okay, he'll call you right now. Okay. I cannot go up that Tushka. Yeah, he's ready now. Okay, that's it too. But anyway, as he's trying to get Earl back on the line, again, as we do these things, we understand that through that teasing, that's how we understand how strong you are, how your character, what areas you need development. If you get mad about this, you get mad about that, and what you get mad about, that's where you need to kind of strengthen yourself, be it with patience, caring, sharing, empathy, compassion, loving, whatever the case may be, whatever upsets you the most, that's where you recognize within yourself that you need strengthening. Well, anyway, my little nephew went back to Chicago and he works on the docks, a trucking firm. He worked on the docks and he was scoring all those people and they couldn't get it. They thought he was being harsh or rude or what they would say, obtuse. Yeah. And anyway, they couldn't get it until he taught them how. And so then after a while, his little crew there, they start scoring each other. And they start having fun with it after that, like we do on the rest. But you see, that is representative of a different way of life, a different way of looking at life itself.
Leave a message, and I'll return you.
Oh, that guy. He won't answer his phone. Huh. Oh, well, I'll let him go. But anyway, that's the representation of that diversity that exists there. And at the same time, the people on the docks in Chicago, they maintain their uniqueness because they have their way of doing things. Well, that's how one of the ways we maintained our uniqueness here on the reservation, to be Indian and understanding our language, our ceremony, and the way that our worldview is unique in itself. And that's that representation, in spite of the fact that we still are a part of that diversity that's there. So based on that diversity and that uniqueness, that should become an empowerment and an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Even though COVID coming made us get locked down and whatnot, and some people were anxious and kind of a little bit apprehensive about going outside, even hugging their own relatives. You couldn't even do that.
The ice all over
and you get to those extremes, and then you understand that, holy Christ, things can get worse. Yes, they can. But yet, we worked through it. We got through that. And again, we're going to have to develop a different way to communicate. And that's why this is so cool. This sort of Zoom meetings and all that good stuff is really important. It's going to even become more important to us as a people in respects to sharing that, and communicating and representing yourself based on that uniqueness, but participating as part of that diverse world that we live in. So hopefully that all makes sense to y'all. Hopefully that all comes together for you to help you understand. We're not telling you how to be an Indian. We're sharing with you an option that may be available to you from a spiritual perspective, eh? And to help us all kind of come together as a family or a community or make each other brother and sister or whatever the case may be, and kind of recognize the importance of that family structure and how it really unifies us and brings that unity and that attitude of unity together again. And then the children can see that. And the children, of course, they learn by observation. That's your best teacher. And you'll hear me say that often because that's what I was shared with me as I was taught that. And so in a good way, we present these things as Tatanka Koapi Oyateki or the Wantam Pebi or whatever you want to call us. You're a part of that now. I don't care what nationality you are. If you listen to this, if you watch this, it's just to help you understand the options, the freedom of spirit that you have in respects to addressing these issues of diversity, but at the same time maintaining that uniqueness of who you are. So if you're in Poplar on Saturday, I think it's going to start about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Go down Rodeo Road, look on your right, you'll see a whole bunch of savages gathering there and whooping and hollering. Hopefully nobody calls the BIA police on us because we're having such a good time, but stop by. Come on over and listen and participate. You'll hear songs of ceremony. You'll see dances of ceremony. You'll see sufferings and sacrifices as it relates to the commitment that they made to their creator. But at the same time, you'll get to see that we still live like this. We still live in the manner in which we were taught. We're not trying to go back to the old days. We're still keeping all this thing going in spite of this new fast way of life. We're keeping that going. We're keeping that structure in place as it relates to the protocol. We're living our life the way is comfortable for us. And if it can become comfortable for you and you can't, and you don't fear it, then hey, it makes us stronger, it makes us mightier. And then we can overcome a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with, such as COVID and other diseases. We can do that together. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. But Toshka, I just wanted to throw that out there. I know that hopefully it didn't get too political or anything like that, but I would like people to understand we live like this for a purpose. There's a meaning behind it. There's a strengthening that we can look forward to as we continue to develop our character, working on those virtues. And again, there's some that are very blessed in different areas. They're artists, they're singers, they're dancers, or whatever the case may be. Those are blessings, but these virtues, that's what we're talking about in strengthening, so that we can become strong again and prepare ourselves to make that transition from this dimension to that dimension, and then become what the white people call angels or all that good stuff, and what we call grandpa and grandma. So what do you think there, Toshka?
Oh, that was a very good explanation, very informative. I do have one question, but I want to kick it out to some of our viewers. We have a few students that are on the Zoom webinar here with us. If you have any questions, either one of you, just put them in the chat. I'll keep your name anonymous, but we will address your questions if you have any. If you don't, that's totally okay too. For those of you that are joining us on Facebook, we do our best to try and follow that feed as well. Some kind of multitasking here, but we'll try and do our best to address those if we can. So I guess one question I got for you, Dex, I think a lot of people might have this similar, I guess, observation or question, but like within like the ceremony that you're talking about, even leading up to that, we had talked about it on the podcast, how a lot of that has to do with preparation, right? And a lot of it has to do with land-based teachings, and it's kind of like these seasonal ceremonies, you know, and we're in this process of gathering certain things that we use, and then so there's that aspect, right, that I think is really cool, and we've touched on. We've tried to invite some community members to join us for that, but also within those ceremonies, there's like ceremonies within ceremonies, right? Maybe that might be, I don't want to be, you know, sharing too much or whatever, but like I thought it was really cool when we talk about like the practice like hunka. Like it's my understanding there might be names given out to young individuals at these type of ceremonies. So and then some of our maybe our non-native relatives might not understand that or whatever, but you know, maybe we could discuss a little bit about that, the significance of that for the tribe.
Well, sure. You know, with that understanding, what my nephew is talking about is that the name, you know, like right now, Okatado, Temini Chat Matayalo, What I shared with you is it's so hot outside, I almost sweat to death. That's what I said. But, you know, it's really hot outside, and for us to do things like this, especially during these extreme weather things, it takes a little bit of character development, It takes a little discipline to do these things. And when we have to go get certain medicine, certain things, or have a sweat as hot as it is, and then these Indians are are going into that sweat lodge. Holy crap, just stand outside, throw rocks and water on the rocks outside. It'd be hot enough. And so, uh, but there's naming ceremonies that we're going to provide on Friday, and then on Saturday there's going to be the kettle dance is what we call it, the puppy soup dance, and you'll see different types of individuals involved in that, but that's all based on a commitment. When we name somebody, like if you're a grandfather or a grandmother, you don't have to have a ceremony. You could name your grandchildren. People don't know that. They could name them. They can give them an Indian name. And a lot of times people don't understand that, like we talk a lot about the wink day, eh? Like they're blessed or they're holy. They're not blessed, they're not holy. They're just different. But in that, they were made by the Creator. But one of their responsibilities is when the child is born, what you should do if you know a legitimate wink day, go give him or her tobacco and ask them to name your child. And what they'll do is they'll name the child and they'll go whisper that name in the baby's ear, and then they'll share it with the Creator. Nobody will know that name except that wink day, that baby, and the Creator. Eh? And so the child will be looked after. And that's one of the responsibilities of the wink day. And people don't understand that. But remember, we spoke about earlier, the circle, the Changleshka is a circle of life, and it's inclusive of everything. Eh? And so that's how we include our wink day people into that society. They have other responsibilities as well, but helping out the women and standing up and helping with teepees and various other things. But again, that comes as you understand that society. But at the same time, the importance of the name is you get recognized by this Wankatanka, this spiritual energy that's up there, that when you're ready to go or you're asking for prayers and you're asking for guidance and direction, they'll recognize you by your name that you carry. So to us, that's how important that Indian name is, eh? And some may carry 3 or 4 names, 1 or 2 names. I carry 2 myself, Eagle Claw, and the other one is 4. But that's just because they were shared with me in that way. So that's what I share with all of you when I speak. But that's the importance of the name itself. And so on Friday, we'll have those. And then on Saturday, we'll have the healing dance. And that's called that puppy dance or that kettle dance.
One question I seen Dekshi on the chat. Someone says, can someone receive their native name from a different tribe?
Sure, it happens all the time. Yeah, you see, and what that involves, and like we talk lots about hunkha, hey, that's an indication of respect. If another tribe wants to name you, they're including you in their tribal ceremony, eh? Like if you go down to Hopi land, if you're not a Hopi, you can't get in some of their ceremonies. You can't go into their Hogan and participate. You got to be Hopi, unless of course you're invited, and then they'll give you a name and all that, and then that'll be your. But if you're non-Indian, if you're Indian, if you're not Hopi, you cannot go into those ceremonies. That's how structured they are, eh? So there's ceremonies that no white person has ever seen, and that belong to Hopi. But that's the way they do it. That's because they're protecting their own, whatever that consists of, eh? But it's stuff like that. But to us, like our Northern Plains Indians are a little bit different, a little bit more open, but yet we've always protected the center. And a lot of people don't understand. I think we had one podcast where we talked about superstition. That was a form of protection of the center, the truth, eh? The ones that sit around the center, the old guys that carry that center on, that information, that carry that truth, they had to implement a superstition to keep those looky-loos away, the ones that are just being nosy and trying to see, and then they steal that inference of what the ceremony is and go sell it to non-Indian people and make them believe that that happens. But the truth of the ceremony is always maintained by those old people, and so sometimes you have to protect that with that superstition. Then what happens is people believe the superstition before they believe the truth. So you listen to terms like, "Oh, we chaki obomani," I walk with the truth, eh? And so that's what that means. And so you cannot share or be sarcastic in when you share about a ceremony. Like my dad would tell me, son, I'm going to share these 4 things with you. Don't ever change those 4 things or we'll lose that ceremony. Which I find important to me, and I would never change them, nor do I, and I protect them. And I never would share them with just anybody. There's particulars that I just would keep that to mind. The rest I just got, you wouldn't understand anyway, I tell them, or something like that. But it'd make you afraid or something. But there's different ways of protecting the importance of who and what we are based on that value system. Not to deny you, but to recognize that responsibility, that if you're able to carry it, that they share the truth with you. Same thing like with the Sundance, you'll find that go back behind that thing, and just certain ones will be able to participate. Well, they're protecting that truth. And people say, don't look in there or your face will fall. That don't happen. That's called Bell's palsy. Well, but again, it doesn't happen, but they say that because they want to protect that truth that exists there. Don't be nosy. Don't be going somewhere where you're not wanted or you're not needed. And the ones that it'll be taken care of by those responsible ones. Until you get recognized as a responsible person, they won't invite you in, eh? And so it all starts becoming and making sense to you as it relates to these things. But the name, the reason why that's important is because that's what the Spirit will recognize us as. Wamni shage hemielo ushimalo omakia agnagupta uchekia ambetutule. My name is Eagle Claw. Listen to my prayers on this day and help me. Hey, that's what I was trying to say. But again, that's how they'll recognize me. Or Dopa hemielo, I'm 4. So again, you utilize it in that manner, and you start realizing, oh, okay, that's how that applies. And then like my uncle used to share with me, my uncle Shep, he said, just go out there and let them know, even if they know one word in their language, tell them when they pray to say that one word. He said that's all they got to do, and then they can pray in English as much as they'd like. But if they know one word, to Kanshila or Hukahe or whatever, but he said whatever word they tell them to use it, and said don't be afraid of it. And then that promotes that ability to kind of get more used to expressing yourself from a more spiritual perspective, eh? Make sense? Or did I answer the question?
Yeah, it answered the question and some other helpful information. So hopefully the student that was asked the question, for sure, he says, okay, very good.
Oh, cool.
Right on. So I have a few other announcements here. We're getting towards the back end of the hour. You have any other comments, Dex? Because if not, there's some college registration stuff I want to share with everybody.
Oh, just that at 4:30 today, last day for you to get that tribal educational department funds. That's all I know. But other than that, I just wanted to say, share with everybody. I want to thank them for all of their involvement. And I know many watch this when we go on YouTube, because they're calling me up and asking me, how come it's not posted yet? Well, Elijah's going to get to it. Last week I never got that because you posted it right away, eh? Right after. And so everybody was just happy about that. But there's a lot of people that do watch our podcast after the fact, and they don't give us the algorithm a like or anything like that, but they do observe what it is that we have to share, and they find it very important and kind of makes their day, helps them understand the importance of their individuality as opposed to their individualism, and really being able to exemplify that individuality in a good way in that representation. So I just wanted to say that, and we're going to continue to do this in a good way for the sake of our mental health issues as we went through and are going through, and will need to continue to kind of recognize the importance of that discipline of not getting out there so much, because for the COVID still exists, that other thing that's out there, it's still there. So we really got to be careful. So always be responsible to yourself.
So a few announcements here. Try sharing the screen. Okay. So we have 2 workshops that are right around the corner here. We have a quilling workshop facilitated by master artist Gumdrops Laverne White Bear,
Oh,
9 a.m. to 3 p.m. August 3rd and 4th. That will be tentatively at the Greet the Dawn Auditorium. But just get a hold of myself if you're interested. I did put out a registration workshop link, or you could just send me an email, ehopkins@fpcc.edu. We do have limited supplies and seating, so if you're interested, try and sign up right away. But it's completely free. We will provide those supplies for you. We also have another workshop the following week for 2 days on August 10th and 11th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Drum making workshop facilitated by master artist Earl Bullhead. That's going to be at the Building Trades Voced building at Poplar Main Campus. So check that out. We want to encourage as many people to apply, to join us as possible, regardless of age. It's not a class, it's a workshop. It's open to everybody. So, and also, what else do we have here? We have, okay, I wanted to share the podcast playlist. So if you go to Fort Peck Community College YouTube page, there's a playlist dedicated to the Buffalo Chasers. We're at week number 41 here, so they're all posted there. Check that out. Also, relatives, we have registration is open, and so for the fall semester.
I can't get you on my phone. It's got to go through Elijah's. He tried to call you twice, and it just went to your answering machine. No, we're good. We're good. We're just. Are you good? Yeah, we're good. All right. Okay, we're just not shutting down, so. Oh, all right. Sorry about everything. No, that's good. It worked out. It worked out. Okay. Don't check it. Oh.
Okay, so relatives, we have registration that is open right now for the fall semester. Stop over at the Student Services building to get started right away. You can apply online if you're a brand new student. And you can also check out some key dates that our academic calendar is posted. A couple things super important. If you're a brand new student or if you're a transfer student, on August 25th is New Student Orientation Day. That will be a component of that will be virtual. And then registration, the advisors per academic program will be here August 26th through this 27th. Classes officially begin August 30th. So we have over 25 degrees and programs. We want to encourage you to join the Buffalo Chasers family. Our new slogan, Fort Peck Community College, the power of connection, culture, and community. So with that, unless there's any other questions, comments, relatives, we will see you next week. Have a great day. Thank you again for joining us. Oh.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya.
Already broke him in, didn't you?
Fort Peck Community College.
Had to outdo me.
Agik tabi ikhachia ya bino, hey yo hey.